Good morning, everyone. By the way, I'm Jiriel Machu Lucero, an AMA online education student currently pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, major in Management Information System. Uh, and scaling to network, uh, LAN redundancy, and link aggregations are the topic I have chosen in order to uh, finish the course project for the subject Data Communications and Networking 3. Introduction to Scaling Networks. As firm expands, so do its networking needs. According to the introduction of scaling network, in order to deliver mission critical services, business depends on the network infrastructure. Scaling networks refers to extending an organization's network to support more devices. A thorough grasp of the current status of our suggested network models and their capacity to scale as the network expand is necessary for the hierarchical network architecture to be implemented effectively. Uh, when uh, when constructing a network, the Cisco Enterprise Network Model and the hierarchical network model are taken into account. Uh, when a company depends more and more on its network infrastructure to deliver mission critical services, it becomes necessary to uh, expand the network. An enterprise network model is a huge business environment with numerous users, locations, and systems. Data files, emails, IP, and video applications are just few of the different kinds of network traffic that an enterprise network must be able to handle. Critical application must be supported by all enterprise networks. Network traffic must be converted to meet a variety of business requirements and centralized centralized administrative control must be provided. Enterprise network outages make it impossible for the company to carry out regular operations, which can lead to loss of income, clients, data, and opportunities. With features like failover capability and redundant power sources, enterprise class equipment is built for dependability. Yeah, in order to maximize an organization's bandwidth, the network must be set up using a distributing layer, which consists of the access layer, distribution layer, and core layer to keep the traffic local and prevent it from spreading needlessly onto other parts of the network. Users are connected via access layer and traffic is forwarded by from one local network to another via distribution layer. Lastly, networks are distributed by the core layer. Each each of these levels is made to fulfill particular purposes. Some smaller enterprise networks may have two-tier hierarchical design despite of the three-tier of the hierarchical network model. These features demonstrate how a two-tier hierarchical designs reduces cost and complexity by combining the uh, distribution layer and the core layer. The Cisco enterprise architecture separates the network into functional components while preserving the core distribution and access layer. Uh, the enterprise campus, uh, enterprise edge, the service provider edge, and the remote are the main Cisco enterprise modules. Uh, the access distribution, and core layers of the campus infrastructure are all included in the enterprise campus. To offer the necessary port density, implementation of VLANs and trunks linked to the building distribution layer, the access layer module includes layer 2 or layer 3 switches. Naturally, the layer 3 devices are used by the distribution layer module to aggregate building access. Therefore, the server and the server farm and the data center module and the service module are additional submodules that can be added to the business campus. This module allows any organization to access partner resources and internet, extending enterprise services to remote locations for the enterprise edge. The internet, VPN, and WAN modules that link the business to the service provider's network make up the enterprise edge. Uh, Additionally, all data entering or leaving the enterprise composite network model or the ECNM goes via an edge device for the service provider edge. Additionally, it offers wide area network, internet, and public switch telephone network or the PSTN services. Uh, a well-designed network restricts the size of failure domains in addition to controlling traffic. The portion of a network that is affected when a crucial equipment or network service has an issue is known as failure domain. Because of failure domain at a network core layer might have a potentially significant impact, it is important to limit the size of the failure domain and switch block deployment. In order to avoid failures, the network designer frequently focuses their effort in setting up the cost of setting up a network may rise significantly as a result of this endeavor. In contrast, routers or multi-layer switches are typically deployed in pairs with equal distributed access layer switches when using a switch block deployment. Therefore, a single device failure does not result in network going down. The network designer must devise a plan to make the network accessible, scalable, and simple in order to support an enterprise network. Uh, Using expandable or modular equipment or cluster devices, developing a hierarchical IPv4 or IPv6 address strategy, and selecting routing or multi-layer switches to restrict broadcast and filter other unwanted traffic from the network are all components of basic network strategy. Redundancy. Redundancy is a crucial design component for the majority of corporate networks. The most crucial component of network architecture is redundancy, which reduces the likelihood of single point failure and prevent disruptions to the network service. As more people switch to IP phones and view video contents and need for video content, the need for bandwidth keeps rising. Certain links between access and distribution switches in a hierarchical network design uh, may have to handle more traffic than others. The network must be built to be able to increase the network access to certain end devices when access layer is expanded. End devices need a wireless network interface card or DNIC with radio transmitter receiver. And the necessary software driver to enable wireless communications. Users cannot join without wireless network or wireless access point or the AP. Routing protocols. Routing protocol setting is typically quite simple for optimizing routing protocols. However, it is frequently required to change the link settings in order to fully utilize a protocol's feature set. Here are the two types of the routing. The routing protocols, the single area OSPF and the multi-area OSPF. Additionally, EIGRP is another widely known routing protocol for bigger networks. For EIGRP protocol dependent modules or the PDM, EIGRP is a proprietary distance vector routing technology that Cisco created with improved features. When developing a network for switch platforms, it is crucial to choose the right hardware to both accommodate future network expansion and satisfy the existing network requirements. There are there are 5 types of switches for the enterprise networks. Uh, these are the campus LANs, cloud managed switches, data center switches, service provider switches, and virtual networking. The administrator must ascertain the switch factors before choosing the switch network. It consists of 3 configurations: the stackable, the modular, and the fixed configuration. The cost, port density, power reliability, port speed, frame buffers, and scalability are the typical business factors that are taken into account while choosing switch equipment. The amount of ports that are available on a single switch is referred to as the port density of the switch. By assessing the amount of data a switch can handle in a second, the forwarding rates indicates the switch processing capabilities. Forwarding rates are used to categorize product lines. Additionally, power over uh, Ethernet uh, power over Ethernet enables the switch to supply power to the device via the current Ethernet cable. This feature illustrates how IP phones and some wireless access points can leverage these features. Therefore, the relatively new Cisco Catalyst 2960C and the 35060C series compact switches allow the power over Ethernet pass-through. However, the core distribution layers of a company switch networks are usually multi-layer switches. Multi-layer switching is implemented. This feature illustrates how multi-layer routing tables support few routing protocols and forward IP packets at a speed that is quite similar to layer 2 forwarding. The transition to a pure layer 3 environment is demonstrated by the Catalyst 2960 switch. Additionally, similar to switches, routers can contribute to the network's access, distribution, and core layers. Additionally, routers are essential to networking since they connect ISPs on the internet, provide redundant channels, and link several uh, locations within a corporate network. Uh, Additionally, routers can serve as a translator between various protocols and media kinds. Therefore, the router's useful features include broadcast, containment, media translation, and secured isolation, connecting distance locations, logically grouping users by department or application, and improving security. Uh, choosing choosing the right routers to satisfy a network needs is crucial as it expands. Branch routers, network edge routers, and service provider routers are the three types of router. Additionally, routers can be classified as either modular or fixed configurations. The desired router interface are included into fixed configuration. Routers and switches are equipped with Cisco iOS software, which manages the iOS files and licensing. This device must be managed by the network administrators as demonstrated by uh, the Cisco changed the procedures for routers starting with Cisco iOS 15 in order to enable new technologies within the iOS set. Regarding in-band versus out of band administration, there are two ways to connect a PC to the network device for configuration and monitoring operations, regardless of the Cisco iOS network device being used. So, as these techniques include in-band and out-of-bound management. When a network connection is missing or during initial configuration, out-of-band management is utilized exclusively. In-band management, on the other hand, uses network connection to monitor and modify a network device configuration. Here are some basic router commands. Copy running config, startup config, and delete. Startup config are examples of basic routing CLI operations. Additionally, there are fundamental router show commands such as show IP protocols, show IP route, and show IP OSPF neighbor, and so on. Additionally, the show commands for the basic router include show interface, show protocol, show IP interface, show IP interface, short, and show CDP neighbors. These show commands are these commands are these show commands are also connected to the interface. The host name for identity, the password for security, and the IP address assignment for connectivity are all part of the basic switch configuration. The switch must have an IP address in order to allow inbound access. Additionally, the outcome of the configuration uh, command entered are displayed by the show running config command. The show port security interface show port security address, show interface, and show MAC address tables are examples of fundamental switch display commands. Uh, Next, I'll talk about the LAN redundancy as the next topic. Uh, Network redundancy uses several physical links between devices to provide redundant pathways, ensuring network resilience, showing network resilience. Layer 2 loops, layer 2 loops must be avoided by managing multiple pathways. The the optimal routes are selected in the event that a major path fails, a backup route is readily accessible. Redundancy at OSI layers 1 and 2. To prevent MAC address database instability, the STP or the spanning tree protocol offers a way to have redundant links at layer 2. A single point of failure on the network is intended to be eliminated. Eliminated by the three-tier hierarchical network design, which employs core, distribution, and access layers with redundancy. As a result, this function displays uh, redundant OSI layer 1 and 2 in which the PC1 and PC4 communicate via a redundant network topology. The path is changed to transport traffic from switch 2 to switch 4 in order to reach PC4. Once the network connection between switches 1 and 2 is restored. So several cables and devices are used to demonstrate OSI layer 1 redundancy, but the network configuration requires more than simply physical planning. Therefore, the use of OSI layer 2 protocols such like uh, uh, spanning tree protocol is also necessary for the redundancy to function in a systematic manner. Broadcast storms, multiple frame transmission problems with layer 1 redundancy, and the MAC database instabilities are the main problems for layer 2. To MAC address data instability, PC1 broadcasts a frame to S2. The broadcast frame is received by S2 via Fast Ethernet 11 in its MAC address database after receiving the broadcast frame. The MAC address table is updated once more with the most recent entry from the other two switches when S2 receives the broadcast frame from S3 and S1. Uh, when a network is completely overloaded with broadcast traffic that is looping between the switches, the switch discards the fresh traffic because it cannot handle it. The outcome is the end is the outcome of the broadcast storm. This feature indicates that S2 is currently discarding extra frames. The following action illustrates the problem with redundant unicast frames. It displays a snapshot of step 5 and 6. In step 5, S3 transmits the unicast frame out port 3 to S1. Because it also contains an entry for PC4 in its MAC address table, in step 6, the duplicate frame is received by switch 1 and sent to PC4. Spanning tree algorithm, all switch have spanning tree enabled for this illustration. Spanning tree algorithm port roles, the spanning tree algorithm allocates port roles to the participating switch ports after determining which paths are most desirable in relation to each switch. As demonstrated in this feature, the port roles specify how they relate to the root bridge in the network and whether they are not permitted to forward traffic. Each broadcast domain switch LAN in the spanning tree instance has a switch assigned as the root bridge. Every spanning tree calculations uses a root bridge as a point of reference to identify which redundant links should be blocked. Additionally, the path cost value can vary to account for the various speeds. available when a newer or faster Ethernet technologies becomes available. This feature illustrates the path cost that the path cost is the total of all the port costs along the route to the root bridge. Additionally, as this charge illustrates, the spanning tree algorithm relies on the exchange of BPDUs to identify a root bridge for the 802.1D BPDU frame format. In order to identify the root bridge and the paths leading to it, the BPDU frame has 12 different fields that uh, transmit path and priority information. Additionally, every switch in the broadcast domain initially believes that it is the root bridge for the spanning tree instance in the BPDU propagation and procedure. The BID of the local switch is there included as the root ID in the BPDU frame. Root ID in the BPDU frames that are sent. After a switch boots up, the BPDU frames uh, are automatically sent every 2 seconds. That is the hello timer set. Uh, that is the hello timer set in the BPDU frames and has a value of 2 seconds. Extended system ID, the network's root bridge can be found using the bridge ID. There are three distinct fields in the BPDU frames BID field. Uh, the MAC address, extended system ID, and the bridge priority are these fields. Additionally, I'll be using the activity number 2 or the laboratory exercise number 2 for the LAN redundancy configuration. Hey, yung summer. Han kinita no, ayan mo. And for the last topic, we have the link aggregation. The capacity to combine several physical links between two devices into a single logical link is known as link aggregation. This allows the physical link to share burden using several redundant lines as single logical link to exploit underutilized links and boost bandwidth is known as link aggregation. The introduction to link aggregation, traffic from several links, typically 100 or 1,000 megabytes per second, aggregates on the access switch and has to be routed to the distribution switches for redundant connection with the STP or the spanning tree protocol in this feature. There is a greater need for networks with greater bandwidth capacity between the access and distribution switches because of the traffic aggregation. Additionally, this feature demonstrates the benefit of the Ether channel topology. Most setup chores may be performed on the Ether channel interface rather than its individual ports, guaranteeing configuration consistency throughout the links. Because the entire link is viewed as a single logical connection, Ether channel also offers redundancy. Multi-physical ports can be grouped into one or more logical Ether channel links in order to implement Ether channels operation and implementation restriction. This feature illustrates that every Ether channel has a logical port channel interface. All physical interfaces assigned to the interface are impacted by a configuration applied to the port channel interface. One of the two protocols, the PAGP or the Port Aggregation Protocol and the LACP or the Link Aggregation Control Protocol, can be used to create an Ether channel for the port aggregation protocol through the negotiation with comparable features. This feature illustrates how these protocols enable ports to create a channel through a dynamic negotiation with neighboring switches. Proprietary technology from Cisco called PAGP or the Port Aggregation Protocol helps create Ether channel links automatically. Uh, as demonstrated by this picture, the LACP, or also known as the Link Aggregation Control Protocol, is a component of an IEEE specification or the 802.3 AD that permits many physical ports to be combined to create a single logical channel. Next are the following rules and limitations are helpful while configuring the Ether channel. The first is that the Ether channel supports VLAN numbers as shown in the picture, and the range of VLANs for defining the interface. Using the interface range to uh, specify the interface that make up the Ether channel group is the first step in configuring the Ether channel with LACP. The channel group identifier mode active is subsequent setting. The topology that consists the topology that causes configuration verification and troubleshooting example in this part is displayed as displayed in this picture. The Ether channel is set up as a trunk interface with permitted VLANs provided in the following example. The VLAN 1, 2, and 20 are permitted on the VLAN port channel 1, which is set up as a trunk. There are several commands that can be used to confirm the Ether channel configuration, such as the show interface port channel, show Ether channel summary, show Ether channel port channel, and finally show interface Ether channel are some of these commands. I'll be demonstrating the link aggregation configuration that I submitted at the on the laboratory exercise number 3.
Hmm.